Here's a quick guide to the Reprised Crota's End raid in Destiny 2. Crota's End starts with one player picking up the Chalice of Light. A bar on the bottom left of your screen will start to fill. Kills will speed up the charge rate, and when it is full, a 10-second timer will count down, killing you if it reaches 0. When your chalice is full, call out for one of your teammates to take the chalice from you. You will receive the Enlightened buff. This is the main mechanic for every encounter in the raid. Enlightened allows you to interact with multiple things throughout the raid. Stand on the bridge and hold your activation button. This will enlighten the plate and start forming the bridge. Survive the adds that spawn in while passing the chalice around. The Abyss encounter is rather simple but will require coordination. The chalice mechanic from the opening encounter returns, with the goal being to bring the chalice from point A to point B. Become enlightened to interact with the green lamps. This will reset your wipe timer called Engulfed in Darkness and will clear any stacks of darkness you have. Stacks of darkness slow your movement down to walking speed when at 10 stacks, so use either strand or a sword with eager edge to make your life easier. Don't stand next to the activated lamps for too long because they will start to glow yellow and explode after a short time. At random points, you will notice lamps ahead are no longer lit. Before you can walk up to them, you will need to preserve the chalice at the lamp you're standing at. All this does is reset the wipe timer and allow for the next 3 to 4 lamps to be enlightened. You will always need to preserve the chalice at the first lamp, so here's an example of what the lamps look like when you can enlighten, and an example of what the lamps look like when you need to preserve. Whenever a player uses their enlightened buff or they preserve the chalice, a 45-second debuff will start to count down called Drained of Light. This won't allow the player to pick the chalice back up until the timer is finished. Once you make it to the end, you must stand on a plate to form a bridge. Endless waves of adds will start spawning and there will be 3 unstoppable ogres. You can speed the process up by using your enlightened buff on the plate. Once the bridge starts forming, don't rush to the end. You can only stand on the platforms that are fully formed. Here's a map of the encounter for reference. The bridge encounter is another walk in the park. The goal is to get everyone across. To do this, you must stand on the plate in front of the bridge. Both totems on the right and left will start glowing red and will wipe everyone if no one stands underneath them. Have 3 teams of 2 players, one team forming the bridge and the other 2 teams standing underneath the right and left totems. After some time, barrier knights and a sword bearer will spawn. In order to pick up a sword, you must kill the sword bearer. When he drops the sword, an enlightened player must pick it up. Just like in the Abyss encounter, fully charge the chalice and have someone take it from you. In your fire team, decide the order in which you will pass the chalice around. All 6 players are required to take the chalice at some point. The first player to have the chalice will pick the first sword up and coordinate with the 6th person that's holding the chalice, so you both can cross the bridge at the exact same time. The person with the chalice will preserve in the back by the stairs, and when someone with the sword crosses the bridge, a blue knight called the Gatekeeper will spawn. Only the person with the sword can damage them, but any crowd control ability or stun you have will still work to disorient the knight. When the Gatekeeper is killed, you must deposit your sword in one of 5 podiums. It's important to remember never to drop your sword at any point because you won't be able to pick it back up. Now it's just a matter of getting everyone else across the bridge. So wait for another sword bearer to spawn. The second player to have the chalice will pick up the sword and run across the bridge. Now that 3 players have crossed the bridge, they must hold the bridge for the remaining 3 players. Just like in the beginning side, there's 1 plate in the middle and 2 totems, one on the left and right side. Once all players have crossed the bridge and deposited their swords, start passing the chalice around so a couple of players can get the enlightened buff again. More adds and barrier knights will spawn, and after some time 5 gatekeepers will spawn. You must be enlightened in order to pick your sword back up and kill the gatekeepers. Once all 5 gatekeepers are killed, you can move on to the hallway. The hallway encounter is by far the easiest in the entire raid. You will be blocked by a green wall with Thrall and Knight spawning, trying to prevent you from pushing forward. Only enlightened players can pass through the green wall. When an enlightened player passes through the wall, they must kill a Shrieker. This will destroy the wall and allow for the rest of the team to move forward. Do this 2 times and you will be at the end of the hallway. Preserve the chalice in front of the pit in order to complete the encounter. Quick tip, a hunter or warlock with blink can blink through the green wall and keep their enlightened buff, allowing you to speedrun this encounter. Ir Yût is the first boss in this raid and is honestly a pushover. Split into 2 teams of 3, one team goes right and the other team goes left. You must kill all yellow bar knights on both sides while making your way up the Crota's crystal. There are 2 Shriekers outside of the crystal room, one on both sides. They will open up once you kill all yellow bar knights on your side. Both Shriekers must be dead before you can enter the room where the chalice will be located. You must pass the chalice around to at least 4 players during this encounter. The first 3 chalice holders will become enlightened and the 4th person will preserve the chalice back in the crystal room. The enlightened players must find and kill 3 wizards that are in separate rooms. There are 7 rooms to look out for. Here's a map of the room with all possible locations for the wizards to spawn. When you enter a room, you will lose the enlightened buff and you won't be able to leave until you kill what's inside. To make it easier, have void hunters see through the walls and call out if a wizard has spawned or not. Otherwise, just be careful not to get close to the door while looking inside to see if a wizard has spawned. You must coordinate and kill all 3 wizards at once, because once the first wizard dies, it's time for DPS, and Yut's shield only drops when all wizards are dead. When DPS starts, group up and go to town. A divinity works great here because it makes Yut easier to hit. You'll notice a portion of her health is highlighted. You must deal that much damage in order to prevent a wipe, but you can continue to damage her past that. After your damage phase, remember to pick up the chalice and start passing it around. Each additional phase you need to kill Yut will require 1 more wizard to kill. So on the second phase, there will be 4 wizards your team must kill, and if you enter a third phase, you'll need to kill 5 wizards. This boss is extremely easy to kill and shouldn't take more than 2 phases. Just use your best DPS weapon and you'll be fine. And last but not least, Crota. Everyone groups up on the crystal to start the encounter, clear out the left and right hallways, and make your way outside. The Chalice of Light will be in the middle of the map. 4 players are again required to pass the chalice around. The first 2 chalice holders will pick up the sword, and the 3rd chalice holder will become enlightened. The 4th will preserve the chalice in the back of the map. In order to pass the chalice around, you must stand in a pool of light. There are 5 spawn locations in the middle of the arena. Here's a map of the room for reference. You must kill the boomer knights in the left and right towers. Once all knights are dead, 2 ogres and the sword bearer will spawn in the middle of the map. Again, only enlightened players can pick up the sword. Once you have 2 swords, it's time for DPS. 1 person with tractor cannon should debuff Crota, then the 2 sword bearers will do a heavy attack, super heavy attack combo on Crota. He will drop to his knees and it's time to do damage. Swords are by far the easiest way to kill Crota. Make sure to keep debuffing him with tractor cannon and to have a well down, as Crota does pack a bit of a punch. During DPS, his oversoul will be active for 30 seconds. This is a DPS timer as well as a wipe mechanic, so make sure to destroy the oversoul with 2 to 3 seconds left. Only enlightened players can deal damage to Crota's oversoul. The more players you have with enlightened, the easier it will be, as you're not relying on 1 person to remember to shoot the oversoul, but this will require you to pass the chalice more than 4 times. When the oversoul is destroyed, DPS is over. Then simply rinse and repeat. When it comes to Crota's final stand, he will do a large slam that damages and pushes players back. Then there will be a 20-second oversoul before you wipe. Continue to DPS until Crota is dead. If you need more time, an enlightened player can destroy the oversoul 1 time to extend your final stand by 10 seconds. And that's your Reprised Crota's End guide. Let me know what you think about this raid in the comments, subscribe for more, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.